It's time for the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU, the official local sports show here in Glasgow and Barron County. And now, alongside John Butler, here is your host, James Brown.
John, you know what it is?
What?
It is allergy season, but so far we've kind of dodged it a little bit, but I am sure this week it's going to get really fired up.
Well, the rain keeps it down a little bit.
Yeah. All the tornado watches and the significant rain that we had, followed by the little cold front there, kept things in check, and then everybody was down in Florida or Tennessee, playing baseball and softball and all that jazz. So I didn't really have to get out in it too much, but I feel like this week it might rain this afternoon. I think you heard that little severe storm watch that we're under, but it might rain some this afternoon, which could hamper some of the games scheduled for today. But the rest of the week's supposed to be pretty good, and so it should be a really busy week. And with that in mind, part of the deal is we've got some, the baseball season's really going to swing into action because we have Barron County playing at Warren East today, and then they'll host them tomorrow. So that's the first two games of the 15th district schedule there. And Warren East looks pretty good right now, and Barron looks pretty good right now. It's kind of hard to tell about Glasgow and Allen County, I think. Glasgow's defense has been good, but they really haven't put up many runs in a lot of their games. So it looks like Barron and East are the top two teams in the district without having played any district games at this point. So we're going to finally start getting some measurement on the baseball front there, John.
Yeah, this will be a big week. Like you said, in baseball, Barron at East today. Glasgow has 5 really tough games this week. At least 4 out of the 5 are tough games. And, so I still think Glasgow's in the mix because their pitching is really good, and they've had a hard schedule. But Warren East is one of the better teams in the region. They have 3 really, really good pitchers, really good starting pitchers. They've played a very tough schedule. They went down to Florida as well and played some of those prep schools down there. So the academy, IMG Academy, things like that. So they played, a really good schedule. So I really believe, I think Barron and East both may be legit 2 of the top 5 or 6 teams in the region. And so, this series with Warren East that kicks off today at East, tomorrow at Barron, should be 2 good baseball games.
Yeah, that's going to be good. And then, you mentioned Glasgow's coming schedule, but Barron, they play Grayson and Monroe County. I don't know how good Grayson is. Monroe, they usually handle Monroe pretty well, although occasionally they have some pretty good teams. I don't know what they look like this year. But then last week in Florida, the Trojans went 3-2 in Florida. They lost to Tampa Catholic. Then they won 3 games. Looked good in their 3 wins.
Well, they beat 2 Lexington schools. They beat Lexington Dunbar 6-4 and Lexington Catholic, who always has a good team, 15-4.
Yeah, and then they played D. Mortain, I believe is the name of the school. From what I could tell, they're actually out of Canada. But I couldn't tell anything else about the team. They finished up with a doubleheader with them and split those games. So, pretty good run there in Florida.
7-6, is that what you have them at Barron?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Barron 7-6, and with arguably one of the best schedules in the state. And Barron's got a really good baseball team. Some of their wins, we've mentioned this, when you defeat Russell County, when you've beaten Bowling Green, when you've beaten Lexington Catholic, when you've beaten those type of teams, that tells you a lot. And they've been kind of sitting on this year. They started 3 years ago with starting a lot of freshmen, and those freshmen now are seniors, and they're just kind of sitting on a good year. Sutton Hyde's had a good year so far, hitting 372, 2 homers, leads the team in RBIs with 11. Jackson Reese 385, J.P. Hyde at 391. And then they're pitching. They got a lot of depth in their pitching. I don't know if they've got that one necessarily, fireballer, but Cameron Crawford, I was looking at his stats, 2-0, 3 ERA. But the thing that I like the most, 18 strikeouts, 1 walk. And that's pretty daggone good. When you can control the strike zone that way, Skylar Potter has a 2.77 ERA, and Sutton And Sutton Hyde, I was looking at his 8 innings, no runs.
Right.
So, they've got pitching depth, and I don't know if they've had any pitcher right now that have gone 7 innings, but they've got a lot of depth, a lot of people they can kind of mix in and out, and that's one of the reasons why Barron's one of the better teams.
You mentioned the no walks. I mean, that's one of the things Barron has done really well in their schedule early on against really good competition is not giving up many free bases. They don't commit many errors on the defensive side, and they don't give up many free bases on the walks or hit by pitch, that kind of thing. And as long as you can do that with the talent they have at the plate, then you've definitely got a chance to win every game that you're playing in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they do. There's nobody on their schedule. There's nobody in their region that they can't beat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I think they're legitimately, they have a chance to win, to compete and win a region, but they also are going to have to compete like crazy just to get out of the district, too, because the district has 3 good teams in it. 2, I'm sure about Warren East and Barron are good, and I think Glasgow is kind of proven right now. Glasgow's 5-8, but they're playing much better. They start off 0-4, and what I like about the Scotties is that their team ERA is 3.08. Now that's really low.
Yeah.
Against a really good schedule. All in all, their schedule has been pretty good. Now down in Florida, they went 2-2 in Florida, but they stopped off in Union, Tennessee, and got a win down there as well. So their team RA is good. Carter Hodges I think leads the starting pitchers. He's 1-1 with a 1.58 ERA. That's really good. JoJo Driver right now, they've had trouble scoring, but JoJo Driver has hit the ball well. Shortstop 469. So if they get enough hitting, it seems like their pitching has kept them in a lot of games, and that always makes you dangerous if you can pitch it and catch it.
Yeah, they if you go back and you look at their early schedule, I think they have 3 of their losses. They had chances to win those games. They had runners on base in the final innings, or they had a couple of rallies that they just couldn't finish off. They just could not find ways to score the runs early in the season, which they've gotten a little better at as the season's gone along. But you're right, talking about the pitching and the defense, they don't give up a whole lot of freebies. They also, outside of Hodges, who's clearly their number one, they kind of – Austin Parker comes in there, Peyton Limley, Garrett Shields. They have a lot of guys they roll out there who throw strikes, and as long as they keep playing clean baseball on the defensive side, they'll come around.
They've got three games this week that 4 really, but South Warren is arguably the best team in the region.
Oh, yeah.
Bowling Green's Bowling Green. LaRue County. The last I checked, LaRue County they're the 2-time 5th region champion with everybody back. And the last I looked at their record, they were at one time 14-1. I mean, they are loaded. And then you have Franklin, another powerhouse in the 4th region. So they've got 5 home games. Those 4 right there are, those 4 are probably legit. Well, at least 3 of them are definitely top 20 in the state.
Yeah, I think the top 25 came out, the new one came out, and I was looking at it because South Warren, Bowling Green, Greenwood, and LaRue County were all in that top 25.
Okay, makes sense.
And so I saw that while I was typing this up, and I was like, well, dadgum, they picked a tough week. I mean, because that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday is what the schedule is they have. So, I mean, it's a grind of a week. I mean, you're playing 5 games.
Coming off spring break, too.
Yeah, coming off spring break. You're playing 5 games. And it looks like you're going to get in 5 of the games. And so you're playing 5 games, and 3 of them are top 25 teams in the state. So, I mean, that's a heck of a week. On the softball side of things, Barron County went down to Pigeon Forge at the end of the spring break week, played Thursday through Saturday, I think it was. Went 5-0 down there. Beat Washington County 19-0, Pendleton 13-4. Baldwinsville, New York, 19-0. East Rutherford, North Carolina, 7-3. I left the East Jessamine out for a reason because it was the only close one. Otherwise, they were just dominant in those 4 games. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know exactly the difficulty of that tournament. Washington County and Pendleton County are not strong.
Yeah.
I can just tell you that. I don't think Washington County's won a game. Pendleton County maybe won 1.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure about East Jessamine. They're kind of in the middle there. So they're now 8-3. They've won 5 in a row. North Shirley, their stats still aren't really updated. There's 4 games they're not on there. But North Shirley has 5 homers in, I think, 7 games listed.
Yeah, and she also hit 1 or 2 while in those in the games that aren't listed down there.
So she's probably up at 7 right now.
Yeah.
Shaybo, was her ERA was right around in the mid 3s right now, and so forth against some of the early competition was really good. Like I said, I don't know down there. So they've got 2 big district games. I think tomorrow is on the radio, I believe, tomorrow.
Yes.
With Jay Turner, right?
Yep, that's right.
First Barron County one. Yeah. So they got Warren East. And that would be a real test. Warren East is legitimately good. Mm-hmm. And then they got Allen, who's at one time had only lost once, and I think that was to Warren East in a non-district game, though.
Yeah.
It was one of those Saturday. I think it's one of those
2A. Was it the 2A
deal?
thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think
I didn't realize that.
I don't think it was a district game. I could be wrong.
Warren East won the game 12-3. I did not realize it was
So I don't think that was a district game. So East and Allen will be 2 really, really important games. And no offense to Glasgow, who did not play. Whoever gets the number 1 seed will probably have a big advantage this year.
We have, in the case of Warren East, Barron County, and Allen County Scottsville, a lot of experience returning.
Probably 3 of the top 5 teams in the region.
Yeah. And so, that's got a lot to do with it. You have pitching returning for all 3 of them. You have some of the better hitters, and now Barron lost, 2 very key players.
Barron lost more hitters than
they did. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like the pitching and the defense, they all return a lot of players. Really, Warren East and Allen County Scottsville will return kind of the same teams they had last year.
Allen was ultra young last year.
Yeah.
Middle school young with injuries.
Yes. Yeah. So they return almost the same teams they had last year. Barron did lose some key players from last year, but the bottom line is they're all 3 more experienced than Glasgow.
True.
And so going back to your point of how critical the 1 seed is in this district, it's just a fact of the experience of these teams versus playing Glasgow, because Glasgow will probably wind up 4th seed. See, they've already lost to Warren East and Allen County.
Right.
Glasgow has. So you don't want to be in that 2-3 spot. That's going to be the dogfight spot this year in that district.
Yes, somebody that's probably legitimate. One of the better teams in the region will not go.
Right. Yep. So, that's why these games, as you mentioned, circling them for this week, it's going to be telling. It's going to be a lot that Barron, Warren East, and Allen County Scottsville all learn about each other from this week, especially Barron with the other 2.
Right.
And what they need to do, to have a shot, because there's going to be a meeting between all of them again in a couple of weeks. And so it's going to be an interesting dogfight there in this district.
And Glasgow, who they have not played since April 1st, so they've been off 13 days. They have Logan today. They go to Butler tomorrow, and then they have Warren East, another district game on Thursday.
Yeah, and we'll see how it works out for them, because they have a young team. I will say, in the last couple of games they got played, Kerrigan Hagan was back in the circle doing most of the pitching, and Avia Maxey has played well, but Kerrigan Hagan is, she can get strikeouts and that kind of stuff. She looked pretty good as a 7th grader closing the season last year. I thought she pitched well against Barron in the district tournament last year. So if she's coming around, she does give them something that they haven't had. People may have missed that, Memphis Prophet would have been the returning pitcher, but she injured her knee during volleyball season, so that's why she's not on the map for them. She'd have been their most experienced pitcher, so they have an 8th grader and a 7th grader out there pitching for them right now, and a bunch of middle schoolers basically playing everywhere on the field.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
and the thing that Glasgow's got to be able to do is that if we're still doing this show 3 or 4 years from now, they need to have a team mainly of high school players.
Yeah,
because it's okay to have middle schoolers. But you can't have middle schoolers every year.
No.
Those middle schoolers have to be freshmen, sophomores, and juniors someday, and stick with the program. That's how you build it.
Well, and it's the old adage of what you used to say, which was if you're going to lose young. But the idea behind that adage is you're going to be experienced at some point in time. You're going to win.
Right, that's correct.
And so that's your point. There is, if they're not experienced at some point in time, it's hard to win, especially when you've got 3 programs in a district with you like they do with Barron, Warren East, and Allen, that are basically adding. They basically have veteran players year in and year out with their younger players coming in.
That's correct.
Anything else about the spring sports
This is the time where now, these next couple weeks you'll start to I think you'll start to see better play. You'll start to actually kind of see probably, who's for real, who's not, and so forth, because spring break's over. There's only like 6 weeks left of school, presumably, for a lot of schools. So you should get better weather, hopefully, and so forth. And this is the time of year where you should start to see better baseball and better softball.
Well, and I think also on the baseball front, especially what you start to see is the actual rotations on the pitching that coaches want to see.
Yeah, your arms should now be pretty much fully cranked right now. A lot of kids are throwing year-round anyway, or indoors or whatever, but if you didn't have that opportunity as much, by this time you should be able to throw 1,900 pitches right now.
Yeah. All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the show. James Brown, John Butler, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. I want to thank them for continuing to support us all these years, John.
Absolutely.
Steve Goodson and all those guys have been real good to us through the years. John, for people who listen to this show, they will not be shocked at what I'm about to say. I really don't watch golf. They probably realize this.
I don't watch a lot of golf, but I like the majors.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. You love the majors. I guess the Masters is one of your favorite events, just in general.
Yes.
And this one had some excitement, and to finish off on Sunday.
I was out. It was tremendous. It was tremendous theater, emotion. You name it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was one of the better tournaments I've ever watched.
Is that right?
And of course, the Masters plays out that way too. It's probably the most historic, famous tournament in the world. Probably the tournament that most people want to win more than any other tournament, because if you win it, you can play the rest of your life there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're exempt for the rest of your life and so forth. So you're kind of elevated as well. And Roy McIlroy, that's the only major he's never won the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Never won the Masters. He's won the U.S. Open, PGA, and he's won the British Open. So this was the one he hasn't won. And so it's called the Career Grand Slam, and he's not young Rory anymore. He's in his mid-30s, and he's been close. He's been second. He had a 4-shot lead a few years ago and blew it on the back nine. And you could tell the stress that was on. Now he's playing better than anybody in the world this year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be the new number one player in the world. But it was tremendous theater, because he had a 4-shot lead again, and then all of a sudden we had a 3-shot lead going into the day, and after the second hole, he was already down one. Double bogeyed the first hole. And he had –
You think he was having flashbacks to 4 years ago at that point?
Probably.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's harder to play with the lead, I think, than to come from behind. You got to be aggressive.
It's kind of the old you got nothing to lose, so
Right.
you might – it kind of focuses you.
I think there's
you
more
a little better,
stress
maybe.
when you have the lead, because you don't – sometimes you try to play defensive and so forth, and he survived 2 double bogeys again. He had 4 double bogeys for the tournament, so he lost 8 shots and still won, which tells you how good he was playing. But so after he lost that lead on the second hole, he managed to get it back together, and he had another big lead going into 13, and 13 is a par 5. And he actually played it conservative. A lot of people go for it on 2. There's a creek in front of it, so you go for it on 2 if you got. And he actually laid up, so he only had like 100 yards to the green. So instead of going for it 2, he had a layup shot, playing very conservative. And on the layup shot with just a little wedge, I'll be honest with you, I could have hit that one. He hit into the creek, and he double bogeyed right there.
Yeah.
So he lost that lead again, but down the stretch, boy, he made big shot after big shot to come back again. He just didn't make a lot of putts, and had to go into an extra holes with his friend from England, Justin Rose, who was the first round leader. And on the first extra hole on the 18th, Rose made par, and and McElroy made a birdie, and you could tell how much it meant to him. I mean, I've never seen a guy cry that much in all my life.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't watch the tournament, but I was watching like the highlights and all, and the finish and some of the reaction. And what was interesting to me, because I mean he just had to make the putt right there to basically get to win it.
Yeah, but he had the same putt to win it in regulation about 2 feet beyond that and missed it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking is that.
And last year to win the U.S. Open, he had a putt about that size right there and missed it too. So that little putt that looks easy, that you take away the pressure, you probably make it 999 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, it's still not easy when your hands are shaking. But
well,
he made it.
And that's what I was going to say is that he seemed awfully calm in the moment when he shot it, but as soon as that thing hit the hole, he just came apart basically. I mean, you could tell all of the emotion just pinned up in him. I mean, you can't think about the shots you've missed at that particular point in time. I don't golf, but I know you can't do that because otherwise you'll miss them.
That's correct.
You know, it's like you can't think about the free throws you've missed. If you do, you'll miss them. So you can't think about that. But somewhere in your mind are all those things, and when that thing goes in the hole, you can see it all comes out.
The thing about golf is you're playing by yourself too. You don't have teammates. You don't have
nobody pep you up.
I mean, it's on your shoulders and so forth. And I was happy for him. He's extremely popular, and during this separation between the PGA and the LIV Tour, the Saudi-based tour that took several members away, McElroy, who was offered basically the world to join LIV, never did. He stayed with the PGA and has kind of been the spokesperson for the PGA against LIV for during this kind of period of time. So he's very, very well liked among actually a lot of the American public. You could just tell by watching the crowd there was very, very, very in favor of him, for him.
Yeah.
And he was head to head for a long time with his nemesis Bryson DeChambeau, who joined LIV, the American, who's already won 2 majors, and he beat him head to head, and then had to kind of beat his countryman Justin Rose, who kind of sneaked back in there at the end.
Mm-hmm. What one of the things at Augusta National, I guess, is if you win the Masters, you get to choose the dinner.
That's the next year.
It's the next year. Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure about it, but I was thinking to myself, I wonder what his dinner will be next year.
That's the next year. That's the Champions Dinner. That the reigning winner chooses the food for all the people. Yeah.
So if you won the Masters, what would be your next year dinner there, John?
Oh boy, I don't know. Something I'd like for sure.
Hey, what's your favorite thing?
I like hamburgers and grilled chicken. I like grilled chicken and things like that. Spaghetti. There you go. It wouldn't be anything fancy.
Well, I mean, so if it's at Augusta National, I mean, you can probably
have whatever you want. Shrimp.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking, you could, if you wanted spaghetti, you could call in the most famous Italian chef. Cook you some real spaghetti.
You can have whatever you want, and whatever you have is the menu for everybody else too.
I think I'd have gizzards.
That wouldn't be real popular. Liver and gizzards?
No, I don't like livers. Just gizzards with some Frank's hot sauce on it.
Well, you'd be eating by yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think about all the things that people would like to have, and I think, well, I'd pick something. I'd just, they'd say no, thank you, and I'd get as much as I want.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go there.
So
I figured you could do the Cajun deal.
Yeah. Well, you
got a little Cajun in too.
Yeah. I probably would like something like that, some good jambalaya or something like that.
Yep. That'd be the appetizers, right?
Yeah. We'd do that. I don't know. I might get some nice cheeses flown in where everybody could have a cheese of some sort.
All you gotta do is win the Masters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure I can sign up next year and
just sign
get
up.
My pro card and
yeah, I'm sure.
All these people who have tried for all these years to go play in that tournament and not even gotten close to it.
Your goal is not the $2.4 million; it's just to host the dinner.
Yes, I want the dinner the next year, John. I mean, might as well have some fun with it, right?
That's right.
No, that dinner got Fuzzy Zeller in trouble, so there's that too.
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, who won it last year from Texas, I looked at his menu, and I know his appetizers were like cheeseburger sliders.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some type of filet for the main course. Or whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep.
That sounds good. I don't know though. I guess I would just go with the best possible steak you can get your hands on if that's the case.
Well, they could do it.
Yeah, I mean if they're taking care of it, then the cost wouldn't be the issue.
No.
It's whatever you want.
That's
So
correct.
probably go for something you just really can't get otherwise. I would think. Maybe not sliders.
That was an appetizer.
I understand, but still. I wonder if you have the dinner, I wonder if you could field requests. Like it's the number one draft pick. You know what I mean? And so you take requests from other people to move up in the draft. They say, well, I might never win this, but can I get my menu item in there, and then you can make a deal with them.
I'm sure. I don't know. I've never been in that position.
We'll have to have some professional on here to tell us about this. I'm really curious about this dinner now, John.
Yeah, we'll call Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, we'll
call
get
Rory
Scotty
next year. I'm sure he'll come on our sports show.
Yeah, we'll call Rory.
Yep.
I mean, I think he has nothing better to do over the next few months. When is the next leg in the
They're spaced a month apart.
in the Grand Slam?
Yeah, the next one will be the PGA in May, and then the U.S. Open's in June, and then the Open or the British Open is July.
Where is the PGA this year? Do you know?
I do not know that.
Okay.
No, that moves around.
Yeah, that one moves around.
The U.S.
and-
Open moves around.
Yeah.
All three of them moves around. That's the other thing that's special about the Masters. It's the same location every year.
Yeah. Anything else on the world of golf that you can think of?
No, nothing I can think of. But I enjoyed it. I guarantee the ratings were humongous because they're basically the only thing on TV right now. So and then you had big names at the top of the leaderboard. I bet you they got a great rating.
Yep. All right. This Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
John, we are in the amorphous area of the NBA basketball season.
That's a good word.
This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, by the way.
So in the last 10 minutes, you've talked about gizzards and amorphous. I don't think that's ever been done on the air.
John, I've got this just a sidetrack here real quick. I had a friend, and so we would get together, and my friends and we'd get together and we'd play spades. And one friend, we called him Big Haired Dave. He was on one team, and Alex, my friend from New York, he was on the other team. So we're playing spades, and one of us was holding the ace of spades, and so Big Haired Dave makes a comment about the fact that he thinks that they can make their books. And I told him, I said, no, you still have that sword of Damocles hanging over your head called the ace of spades. And then he looked at me and he said, I never thought I'd be playing spades with somebody who would use the sword of Damocles accurately. He said, it's not in my, and my friend Alex says, repertoire. And so I've always been just kind of amused, I guess, by the juxtaposition of gizzards and amorphous, if you get right down to it.
Yes. You're over my head right now. That's good.
Well, let's get back down here into it's quiz time for you here, John.
All right. Let's see what I can do.
So going back to that, this is the gap, as they say, between the end of the NBA regular season and the start of the playoffs, because we have a week of games that are going to be played this week, and they don't
Play-in
count.
games.
They're called play-in games, but their statistics count nowhere. So they don't count toward the regular season statistics, and they don't count toward the playoff statistics. So you could play two games this week, and basically your stats will not go anywhere on your career if you're a player, which is kind of a weird situation. So that's kind of why I'm calling it a gap between two real things that happen. Yeah, you get to win games and make the playoffs, but still. So, I mean, I felt with that being the case, and you and I know we've not really kept up with the NBA season too much, I would guess.
No.
I know I haven't. As a matter of fact, when I looked up these things to ask you questions, some of these things actually shocked me. So the first thing is, which team has the best record in the East, John?
Oh, that's Cleveland.
Yep. You know what their record is?
No, I don't. They won a bunch.
Yeah, 64 and 18.
Okay.
Do you know who their leading scorer is, John?
Yeah, from U of L, Donovan Mitchell, right?
Yep, that's right. Do you know how many points he scores a game?
I'm guessing right around 27.
Yeah, 24. They actually
Okay.
have Garland. What's his name? Garland, not Mitchell. What's his name? Anyway, Darius Garland. He's their
Okay.
second leading scorer, and he's over 20 points a game as well. Which team has the best record in the West, John?
Oh, that's OKC.
Yeah. You know how many wins they have?
They got a bunch, close to 70.
Yeah. 68 and 14.
Okay.
Do you know who their leading scorer is?
Well, yeah, it's Shea Gildridge, Shea Kid Alex, Gildridge, whatever. What is it?
Gilgeous Alexander.
Gildridge Alexander, UK.
Yep. Do you know how many points he averages a
Over
game?
30.
Yep, 32.7. He
30.
leads the NBA, as a matter of fact.
He's a great player.
Yeah, he is a lot of fun to watch play
He
basketball.
is Canadian, played at UK, just another non-American that's really good at basketball.
Yeah, as a matter of
The
fact, that
NBA's
is
full
correct.
of them.
Yes, it is, including the dude who's the best player in the world right now, I would guess.
The Joker.
Yep, that's right. So he averages 32.7 a game, which also leads the NBA. Now, here's the part that's really tricky, John.
Okay.
Which team has the second best record in the West?
I actually know that because I know the Lakers are third. They dropped to third, and I think Denver's fourth. So I think it's Houston.
Yes. That
The
was the
Rockets.
one, whenever I looked it up, I was like, really?
Yeah, and they're a week too. I think the teams behind them are better.
Yeah, I do too. They're 52 and 30. Now, this is the guy coaching there that was at the Celtics,
Right.
got run out of there, Ime Udoka,
Right.
who obviously is a very good coach. But
Yes.
yes, I do think this team is a regular season winner, not a postseason winner.
They're awful young.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they play. I mean, they're kind of a gritty defensive team. They're not real. They don't really have a scorer that you can really just lean into, I would say, to get them over the hump.
I don't know a lot of their players. I mean, I know Reed Shepherd's there, and
Yeah.
and he's a rotation player. He may be their 8th or 9th best player.
Yeah. So it's kind of a team by committee in a lot of ways, I
Right.
think. All right. Do you know who leads the NBA in rebounds, John?
It's not the guy from Denver, so I don't know.
It's Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, from Sacramento.
Yep, 13.9 a game. Arvidas's boy.
Yes.
I did not realize that, but that one didn't surprise me as much as the next one. Do you know who leads the league in assists, John?
Leads the league in assists. Oh, it's not. Is it Joker?
No.
Denver. It's not. I don't know.
It is Trae Young.
Of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And more known for his scoring than his passing.
Yeah, that's why I was shocked. He's apparently giving the ball to other players more this year than he
Okay.
has ever in the past.
Okay. Didn't really help the record much.
No, I still contend if Trae Young's your best player, you might not be a winning team.
Well, and they're not.
That's right.
Proven. That's correct.
And I mean, he's an outstanding player in terms of padding his stats.
Yeah.
He has stats, but his stats do not translate into winning.
Correct.
He's almost like LaMelo Ball with the Hornets, I think is where LaMelo is. Has stats. They don't seem to translate into winning. Going back to Nikola Jokic, he is third in scoring.
He averaged triple-double.
Yep. Third in rebounds and third in assists, I think.
Yeah, he's. I think he's the best player in the game.
Yeah, he's the third player in NBA history to average a triple double in a season,
Right. And
joining Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook.
And they fired their coach 3 games left in the season. Who won a title with them too?
Yeah. 2 years ago he won a title, and now he's on the dole
Yeah.
trying to pick up
well,
some
2
bread.
playoff teams, Denver and Memphis, fired their coaches within the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, what? I mean, that was a weird situation, I've got to say. I don't know exactly. The Denver situation was kind of interesting because they fired him, they fired the head coach and the GM, and apparently there was some sort of grift going on, or some sort of issue going on between those two, and the owners of the Nuggets just said, you know what, enough of this, both of you get out of here. It was kind of like a parent with children arguing, and you just send them both to their rooms.
Yep.
Except in this case, they sent them to their rooms in somebody else's house. But anyway, so with all that said, which team do you think is going to win the title?
Oh, I don't have any idea. I really don't. Right now, I would say Boston, even though they're second in the East, probably they're the favorite because I think their path to get there is easier.
Yeah.
OKC's got the best record in the game, but they may have to go through the Lakers and Denver and things like that. Their path may be a little bit more difficult. I think the only team that can beat Boston is Cleveland, and I would kind of think Boston, even though Cleveland has a better record, will probably be the favorite even against Cleveland. So, if I had to bet money, which I won't on this, I would bet Boston. I think it's the safest bet.
Yeah.
But whether or not they can repeat, don't see a lot of repeat winners here very often in the last so many years. So that's risky in of itself.
Well, and Boston, if you can say this, even people who follow the NBA, when you listen to their podcasts or read their writing and this kind of stuff, they don't really talk about Boston a whole lot. But I mean, they were 62-20, I think.
Yeah, I mean they've got. They won it last year. They got everybody back.
Yeah,
I mean everybody back, and they're relatively healthy. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll be right there. The Lakers are interesting. The Luka trade is made them legit.
Yeah,
and last week he went down played Dallas at Dallas for the first time since the trade.
Yeah,
and he put 45 on them, and it's just watching, you're just amazed that Dallas would make that move because it's kind of like watching McIlroy at the Masters. How you could tell how much the people were in favor of him.
Yeah,
the whole arena in Denver was in favor of Luka, and his teammates were too.
Yeah,
you could just tell, and why they would make that move is just incredible.
Yeah, they had to have a huge mental health awareness week in Dallas after that trade,
and I'm sure like a lot of these superstars that are making so many millions and millions of dollars, they're probably at that level of pain in the butt to deal with.
Oh yeah,
but man, to give up arguably the top 5 player in the league at 25, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, look, he took the Mavericks to the finals last year.
That's exactly right.
I mean, Kyrie Irving had probably one of his best seasons with him.
And to get Anthony Davis, who's a good player, but he's 32 and 33 and always hurt, and only one draft pick.
Yeah,
I mean,
boneheaded move of the year, maybe.
You could argue the top 5 all-time worst trades right now in the history of any league.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, people made a comparison to Gretzky whenever the trade happened, but it was worse because they got nothing back for him.
Got nothing. It's almost like Babe Ruth getting traded from Boston.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it goes back that.
It's 100 years. It's 100 years trade is what it is.
The Walker trade from Dallas, which worked out great for Dallas.
Yeah,
that was a great move, but golly, that was.
Yeah, we've seen. Despite the fact that I've not really paid that close of attention to the NBA this year, the stories out of the league have been some of the most fascinating.
And they'll have the next 2 months to themselves too.
Yeah,
they don't. They'll have to compete. The football will have the draft in a couple of weeks, which they'll take that Thursday night. But baseball plays so many games that they really got their own time period in these next couple of months to put on a show.
It's part of what's happened is football has become so close to year-round at this point that it's really squeezed out a lot of the early – used to Christmas Day on, the NBA kind of hit the map.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really happen now.
No.
You got to get to the end of the season. It's also kind of like baseball in a way. They play so many games that so many of them don't really matter.
And they sit out. They don't
–
They definitely have an issue with the regular season. Now, with the playoffs, they're all in. It's fun to watch.
Well, and as we learned last year, going back to the Western Conference situation, every time we thought one team was a team to beat, they turned around and lost the next series, and Dallas ended up being the team to come out. And so it does make the West interesting in this sense. There are probably 6 or 7 teams that could win the West just because they have somebody like Denver could win it because you got Jokic. The Lakers could win it because you got LeBron James and you have Luka Doncic. Oklahoma City could win it because they have the best record. They have the best score.
Right.
Minnesota could win it, I would think. I would give them the way outside chance. I would even say somebody like the Clippers could win it as long as they're healthy.
They won't be. And James Harden will his past history, he will revert back to being
this is a team
playoff James Harden. So I don't put any credibility on that.
This is a team with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard on it.
No, Russell Westbrook is in Denver.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Russell Westbrook's in Denver. This is a team with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard and 2 guys who at any point in time could break down or flake
Harden
out.
doesn't break down. He just doesn't play very well.
Yeah, that's right. He just flakes out
Harden,
and gets
bad
all of a sudden.
Him. He plays.
Chris Paul's the other guy with him.
No, he's at San Antonio.
What?
Yeah, he set a record, by the way. 40 years old, point guard at San Antonio, played all 82 games this year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
There you go, see it? Trying to trick me? You don't even know who's playing.
You are correct. You paid better attention than I did. That's why you're able to answer most of these questions. Look, I had to write them down, John. I didn't know them.
You know Jimmy Butler's on Golden State, right?
Yes, I do know that.
But they're
another mind-boggling trade.
But they're in the play-in game.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind boggling. He didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
They had to get rid of him or just sit there.
I guess that's another team that could come out of nowhere and win.
Well,
the
they're in the
West.
play-in, so they've got 3 extra games perhaps. So
Yeah,
that's
I'd
not
say
good
that's gonna
for
wear 'em
that's
down.
not good for an old team.
No. Anything else on the NBA front, John, before I embarrass myself further with things that I don't know where they are? Next week, I'm going to ask the quiz, where are they now? How about that?
That's fine. Let's
You
go.
might be able to answer all those. All right. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's in Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Well, John, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. Tennessee told their quarterback, no, you're not getting any more money. Hit the bricks. Is that what they said?
That's what they said. I think it's a fascinating story because it's Tennessee is taking credit for taking a stand, which I do think I like. They took a stand, but they also are a large part to blame in all this mess too.
Right. Nico Lamalieva, their quarterback from last year.
This was the quarterback that they went to. The Attorney General of Tennessee went to court over because Tennessee got in trouble because they offered him a couple $1 million while in high school to come to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And the NCAA was getting ready to lay the smackdown, and the Attorney General of Tennessee went to court and won the lawsuit that you can. So that threw that another NCAA rule out. So once he's there, he redshirted the first year. This past year, he started as a redshirt freshman and won a lot of games. Mm-hmm. I think they went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And evidently what happened was he never put his name in the transfer portal, was playing through spring practice, and the last week or so of spring practice didn't show up for a couple of practices, wouldn't answer his phone, and his agents or whatever, his family.
His agents.
The rumored was he wanted to up the deal to right around $4 million. Mm-hmm. And Tennessee said, no, that's a bridge too far.
He wanted to renegotiate his contract in the middle of the contract.
That's correct. And Tennessee said, no, we can't do that. So Tennessee is getting credit. Coach, was it Heupel?
Yeah, Josh Heupel.
Josh Heupel, and for taking that stand. And I respect that. But listen, they also caused part of this mess. It's like pushing somebody down the steps in a wheelchair and then going and picking them up and taking credit for picking them up. He kind of they kind of started this in a lot of ways. So they did take the stand, and we'll see what happens to Nico right now. He can't go to the SEC because it's too late. The SEC has a rule in the second transfer portal in football. You can't go to an SEC school. Mm-hmm. And we'll just see how some of the other schools react to him. That's holdouts in the professional range and pro football. You see that, but in the college, a guy's going to be asking for. What he's going to be offering, asking for. It looks like he's going to be asking for $3 or $4 million. Mm-hmm. So
sounds like an Ohio State pickup to me.
Well,
they didn't have a problem.
I mean, he had a good year, but I wouldn't say he was Joe Montana last year.
John.
So we'll just see where all this goes.
I joke about Ohio State only because they paid more money than anybody else last year. But as we saw last year, people will shell out money to go get anyone.
Yeah, we'll see.
A guy who never played at a school but had been a 5-star prospect in high school. Got money.
Well, Tennessee has a limit.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
They have a limit,
I don't think they have a limit. They don't like renegotiating contracts in the middle of a situation.
Maybe so. Maybe.
I would actually guess that had more to do with it than the money itself. That would be my guess.
Holding out and all that other stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's a bad look.
Yeah.
It is a bad look. But this is what you get in the wild, wild west of college sports right now, with no rules, no parameters. When you're paying kids and without a contract, what prevents a kid from saying, hey, I want more? And when you're a quarterback, and you're that integral to a team,
Yeah.
you have a lot of leverage, but evidently not enough at Tennessee for what he was asking for.
Real quick before we have to get out of here, I wanted to mention that WKU is up to number 20 in the Baseball America poll today.
Yeah, having a great year.
Having a great year. They swept Liberty over the weekend.
Beat Dallas Baptist the weekend before, 2 out of 3 at
Yep.
Dallas Baptist.
Yep, who was number 17 at that time.
Right. And they go to Louisville
Yep.
tomorrow night.
Yep, going to be a big game. I think Louisville's number 17 right now.
Yeah, these midweek games are tricky though. Nobody
Yeah.
pitches their best pitchers. They're safe for the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's
It's whoever can basically score the most runs in those situations.
Right.
And then Mark Riordan got his 100th win at WKU over the weekend. So congratulations to those guys.
Absolutely.
All right. It's Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's Glasgow. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU. Be sure to join James and John again next Monday at 4 for another edition of the Brown Sports Bag.